Hi, I'm Donna Jordan from Jordan Fabrics. Today we're going to make a quilt called Popped Art. I've got the patterns in here, and let's see what we need. This is from Cozy Quilt Designs, Fat Quarters Anonymous, so that means I'm going to need a fat quarter bundle. So let's go grab one, we'll see what other fabrics we need, and then let's get started sewing. We have some fat quarter bundles from Hoffman Fabrics. These are batiks, and I've really been wanting to use this one. This is called Sandpiper. It's really pretty colors, and there's 16 here, which means I can make a queen size quilt. Then we're going to need some background, quite a bit of background, and a few borders, which we will pick at the end. So let's take these over and find a really good background fabric. Here's the colors that are in this bundle. I like to spread them out so I can see what color background would look good. I can see right now that a really light background probably won't work because of fabrics like that. And I really think that a tan or a brown will look the best. So I'm going to pull some out and we'll hold them up against those fabrics. All right, this is an option. This is an option, and we could try one of these mid-range tones. All right, way too yellow. Does not look good. Not the right color. That's about perfect. It's kind of a gray brown, and even the dark ones show up a little here, but all the light ones and the blue ones will look really nice on that. So I'm going to go with that one. This is all we need to get started. We are going to add a couple of borders at the end, but we'll pick those out after we make all of the patchwork. First step is to open up all of these fat quarters and steam press them really flat. All the fat quarters get cut exactly the same. So stack up as many as you like to cut. I will probably cut 8 layers at a time. You may want to cut 4 layers or 2 layers, but the good thing is they're all going to get cut exactly the same. The pattern will tell you what cuts to make. Then we're going to cut out our background, then we'll be ready to sew. I'm going to follow the sizes that the pattern says to cut. I can't give you all those sizes because this is a pattern we buy from Cozy Quilt Designs. I love their patterns because they're easy to understand, and I know that if I follow along the instructions, my blocks are going to come out perfect. We are going to take the background squares and the printed squares, and we're going to make half square triangles. So you have 2 ways of marking the back of these squares. You can either draw one line right across the diagonal and then stitch a 1/4 inch away from each side, or if you have one of these handy 1/2 inch wide templates here, you can put this right down the middle, and it's just big enough for this big square here. And you can draw on both sides, and then you just stitch right on the lines that you drew on. Now my prints here are all different colors, so I can probably see this one, but I may have to switch so I can see it enough. I may have to switch to a lighter pen on some of these really dark ones, but I think I can see this well enough. So draw on the back of all of your printed squares, then we're going to put them on these, stitch on both lines, and cut down the middle. One background, one print, line them up, and then just stitch along both drawn lines if you drew both lines. And again, if you had drawn one down the middle, you just stitch a 1/4 inch away on both sides. So we're going to get 2 lines. I'm just going to saw off the edge, spin it around, then sew down the other line. Then we're going to give it a very quick pressing, and we're going to cut right down the middle here. Once you have the stitching done, it's a good idea to give this a very small pressing right along your seam, because sometimes your stitching will pull this up a little, and you can do a couple at a time. It's just to make sure that the thread is relaxed and not pulling that up. Then take these over to the cutting board and take your blade and ruler And we're just going to cut right down the middle. We're basically cutting from corner to corner. You can get a little rhythm going here so that you can stack these up really fast. I don't mind taking a long time to make a quilt, but I like to save time where I can. So I will just do these one after another, and it goes really, really fast. Now we're going to iron these open, and the easiest way is to put the lighter fabrics all down, because when I peel this open like this, all my seam allowances are going to be going towards the dark side, and that's the way we want them. So I'm going to peel it open a little, make sure that it's nice and straight, and then steam press. So again, set one down, peel it open, and feel with your hands that that seam is straight and not bowed one way or the other, and that your corners are facing the right way. Then put the iron on it. That'll keep them from distorting. Last step is to cut off the dog ears. I like to put them in a fairly neat stack and take the bottom and trim it off with scissors, then flip the next one down. So I'm just cutting one at a time, but I'm kind of doing it in bulk because I don't have to pick up each square. So I'm going to do all of this side, then I'm going to turn the stack around and do the far corner. Now the squares are nice and neat with no dog ears. Honestly, for this pattern, if you didn't trim the dog ears off, it's not going to put a lot of extra bulk there. I find that I'm getting a little pickier as I make more quilts and as I get older, but that's the joy of quilting. You get to be only as picky as you want to be. So if you don't want to trim your dog ears off, just leave them on. Next step is to stitch one piece on the side here and one piece on the top. And we're going to do that to every block. So we're stitching the matching ones on. So I'm going to chain piece all of these onto the side to all these blocks. Then I'm going to come back and chain piece this onto the top of all of the blocks. I'm going to leave it on the machine, find the same fabric right here, and I'm just going to do the whole stack. Once that whole row is done, I'm just going to pull them back here, snip them apart, and then I'm going to finger press. I'll show you. I'm going to finger press this seam open just a little bit. Then I'm going to get the longer piece, the matching longer piece, and I'm going to stitch it onto this side. Same method. Now we're just going to give them a brief ironing. That part was already finger pressed, so if you just open this up, they iron really quickly. I'm going to finish all the ironing, and we can see what the quilt's going to look like. The blocks are done. Now that I have all my blocks done, I'm ready to start laying them out. You'll notice they're only turned two ways with this brown on the top right, or bottom left. So all I'm going to do now is start making more rows and try to sprinkle the colors so that they're evenly spread. So I'm not going to put two of these right next to each other. I'm going to try to get the colors mixed up a little bit. And I try not to get too picky, but I do like to have a nice balance. For instance, these are almost both completely green. I'm probably not going to do that there. I'm probably going to put this one here and find something that's got a little more brown right here. So I'm going to lay all these out, then I'm going to stand back and look and make sure it looks fairly balanced. Then I'm going to start sewing everything into rows. Let me show you how I get my rows to stay in order. I'm going to pick up one whole row, and then I'm going to hold this and carry it with this part right by my stomach all the way over to the machine. Even if I spin around, it's going to stay right in the same spot, and I'm going to sit down with it right like that. So I haven't moved anything. It's just the way I picked it up. And we are going to stitch these together with sashing between each block. So I'm going to put this on my lap, and I know this is going to go here, then a piece of sashing, and then the next block is going to go right here. I'm not going to turn it around or anything. I'm just going to set it here and then put them right sides together. Once you have your rows sewn together, you want to steam press them nice and flat. Now we are also going to have sashing between the rows. And to make your quilt nice and flat, the best way to do that sashing is to measure all of your rows and get the average length of them, and then sew your sashing pieces together and cut them to the exact length of the average of what your row length was. That way, when you sew all those together, the quilt will turn out nice and flat and exact. The quilt turned out really big. It's about 98 by 98 inches. You can see that secondary pattern running through it. You see all the triangles in the dark, making a nice line. It was really fun, very quick. The blocks went together really fast. It actually took almost as much time to do the sashing both ways as it did to make the blocks. I quilted it in an abstract pattern called Calm Waters. It's just very wavy, and I use that a lot on batiks. Here's the back. The back is not one of the fabrics that was in the top, but it just looks really good with it, and I like the bigger scale. So we used 4 5/8 yards of the brown here, 5/8 for the border, 1 7/8 for this outside border, and it took almost a yard for the binding. So really a fun project. So if you need a great big quilt, and the pattern gives you lots of different sizes, but if you need a really big one, this is the way to go. Thanks for watching our video today on how to make the popped art quilt. Now we're having another giveaway. So we're giving away 2 things today. We've got this really nice table topper. You could also use it as a wall hanging. This was really fun to make, but if you win it, it's already done for you. And then we also have another table topper. This is the log cabin pattern, nice Asian fabrics. So we'll put a link below so that you can enter. All you have to do is click the link and put in your email address and your name, and we can ship this worldwide. So good luck.